Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there? Or have you found yourself struggling to recall the name of a familiar face? A name that feels like it's right on the tip of your tongue. Maybe you've misplaced your keys or your glasses for the third time in a week. If you've experienced these moments, you're not alone. And if they've ever sparked a little flicker of worry, a quiet fear about what the future holds for your mind and your independence, then I want you to know that this conversation is for you. So many of us have been led to believe that significant mental decline is simply an unavoidable toll that age takes on us. We tell ourselves, well, this is just part of getting older. But as a geriatrician who has spent decades working with older adults, I'm here today to respectfully and wholeheartedly challenge that idea. While many people fear that a sharp decline in our cognitive abilities is inevitable, research is increasingly showing us that this narrative may be greatly exaggerated, especially for those of us under the age of 75. And more importantly, there is so much we can do about it. The truth is, your brain has a remarkable capacity for growth and resilience at any age. Today, we're going to move beyond the standard advice you've heard 1,000 times about diet. While eating well is crucial, we're going to explore 5 specific daily rituals, habits grounded in science, that can act as a powerful form of mental strength training, helping you build a sharper, more resilient mind as you head towards your 80s, 90s, and beyond. My goal today is to give you a credible, actionable roadmap. The internet is flooded with so-called quick fixes and brain games that promise the world, but often deliver very little. It can feel overwhelming, and frankly, it's hard to know who to trust. That's why we're going to ground our entire conversation today in the research and recommendations of world-renowned institutions like the National Institute on Aging, Johns Hopkins Medicine, and the Mayo Clinic. For instance, a landmark report from the Lancet Commission, a leading medical journal, suggested that modifying risk factors that are within our control could potentially prevent or delay around 4 out of every 10 cases of dementia worldwide. 4 out of 10. That is not a small number. That is a profound statement about the power that lies in our daily choices. We are not powerless in the face of cognitive decline. So, over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through 5 powerful daily rituals. We'll explore how simple, consistent movement can literally feed your brain cells. We'll uncover why learning a new skill is far more potent than doing the same old puzzle every day. We'll discuss a specific kind of social connection that acts as a powerful buffer against decline. We'll delve into the science of sleep and how it acts as a nightly cleaning service for your brain. And finally, we'll talk about a simple practice to manage the one thing that can silently erode our memory: chronic stress. You'll definitely want to stick around for our discussion on social connection, because it's a concept that many people misunderstand, and getting it right can make all the difference. And a quick but important reminder: the information we're discussing today is for educational purposes and is meant to empower you with knowledge. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. I am not your doctor. Please, always consult with your personal physician or a qualified healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your health regimen, especially if you have pre-existing conditions. They know your unique health history and can provide guidance that is tailored specifically for you. All right, let's begin with the very foundation of brain health, the one thing that fuels every other process we're going to talk about today. I'm talking about daily physical movement. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, and if that's your cup of tea, that's wonderful. But for so many of us, that image is intimidating and frankly unrealistic as a daily habit. I want to reframe this. This isn't about becoming a marathon runner. It's about embracing consistent, joyful movement. The real power lies in making movement a non-negotiable part of your daily rhythm. So why is this so critical for your brain? The science is incredibly clear on this. When you engage in moderate physical activity, like a brisk walk or a dance around your living room, you increase blood flow to every part of your body, including your brain. Think of your brain as a high-powered supercomputer that requires a tremendous amount of energy and oxygen. Increased blood flow is like upgrading your power supply. But it gets even better. Physical activity also stimulates the release of a remarkable molecule called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. You can think of BDNF as a kind of fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps support the survival of existing neurons and encourages the growth of new ones, a process we call neurogenesis. It's particularly active in the hippocampus, the area of your brain that is central to learning and memory. So, every time you take a brisk walk, you're not just exercising your legs, you're literally providing fertilizer for your memory center. I remember a patient of mine, a wonderful woman named Eleanor who was 74. She was feeling sluggish, foggy, and was deeply worried about her memory. She told me, "I just don't have the energy to exercise." We made a deal. I asked her to commit to just one thing, a 10-minute walk around her block every single morning, right after her first cup of coffee. No fancy equipment, no gym membership, just 10 minutes. A few weeks later, she came back to my office with a completely different energy. She was brighter, more talkative. She said the 10 minutes had started feeling so good that she'd naturally extended it to 15, then 20. She told me, "It's not just my body that feels better, it's my head. The cobwebs are gone." So the action step here is to aim for what the health authorities, like the NHS, recommend. At least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week. That breaks down to about 22 minutes a day. This could be brisk walking, swimming, cycling, or even a lively dancing session to your favorite oldies. If you're just starting, do what Eleanor did. Start with 10 minutes. The key is consistency. As for red flags, if you experience chest pain, severe shortness of breath, or dizziness during physical activity, it's essential to stop and consult your doctor. Don't push through pain. Now that we've covered how to properly fuel the brain's hardware with blood and oxygen, let's talk about upgrading the software. This brings us to our second ritual, embracing novel and complex learning. Many of us, in an effort to keep our minds sharp, turn to familiar comforts like the daily crossword puzzle or Sudoku. And let me be clear, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. These activities are enjoyable and they do engage your brain. It's a wonderful intention. However, if that's all you're doing, you might be missing out on the most powerful benefits. Research from institutions like the Alzheimer's Association has shown that while familiar puzzles are good for maintaining existing cognitive skills, the real magic for building a resilient brain comes from engaging in activities that are both novel and mentally challenging. What does that mean? It means stepping outside your comfort zone. The mechanism behind this is a concept called cognitive reserve. I want you to imagine your brain is a city. Now, imagine you decide to learn something completely new. Your brain is forced to build brand new roads, bridges, and intersections in that city. You are actively expanding your neural network. This creates redundancy. So, if in the future an age-related issue creates a road closure, a damaged pathway, your brain's traffic control has dozens of other routes it can take. That's cognitive reserve. I had a patient, a retired accountant named Frank, who was a brilliant man, but had become very set in his ways. His days were routine. His mental stimulation was the same financial news he'd read for 40 years. His wife bought him a beginner's kit for model shipbuilding. He was resistant at first, grumbling about the tiny pieces and confusing instructions. But he stuck with it. Months later, he brought a finished ship to my office. He was beaming. He explained how he had to learn to read complex diagrams, develop new fine motor skills, and solve spatial problems he hadn't encountered since he was a boy. He said it made him feel switched on in a way he hadn't felt in years. He was building new roads in his brain. The action step here is to find something that genuinely interests you and challenges you. You don't need to enroll in a PhD program. Spend 10 minutes a day on a language app like Duolingo. Watch a documentary on a topic you know nothing about, and then explain it to a friend. Sign up for a community art class or a cooking course. And remember that fun little fact we mentioned earlier? That older adults often have larger vocabularies and a deeper understanding of words than younger adults? That's proof that our brains are not just declining. They are also accumulating wisdom and knowledge. Learning something new taps directly into that strength. Learning a new skill is a fantastic solo endeavor, but its power can be magnified exponentially when you combine it with our third critical ritual, cultivating purposeful social connection. When we talk about socializing, many people think of big family get-togethers during the holidays or passively sitting in a room with other people. And while those things have their place, the kind of social engagement that truly strengthens the brain is much more active and meaningful. The science on this is startling. Numerous studies, including large-scale ones, highlighted by the National Institute on Aging, have shown a strong link between social isolation and an increased risk of dementia. A person's risk can be significantly higher if they are chronically lonely. The reason for this is multifaceted. On one level, purposeful social engagement is a complex cognitive workout. It's a full brain exercise that is far more dynamic than a solitary puzzle. On another, deeper level, meaningful connections are a powerful antidote to stress and depression, both of which are known to be harmful to brain health. I think of a patient named Maria. After her husband passed away, she became very withdrawn. Her children would visit, but she was a passive participant in her own life. She was fading. Her daughter, worried sick, coaxed her into volunteering at the local library, just 2 mornings a week, reading to children. At first, it was a struggle, but then something shifted. The children's energy, their questions, their laughter, it lit a spark in her. She had a purpose again. When she came to see me 6 months later, it was like meeting a new person. Her mood was lifted, her stories were vibrant, and her cognitive scores had actually improved. She wasn't just socializing, she was contributing. She was engaged. So the action step here is to look for ways to move beyond passive socializing. Join a club based on a hobby you love, a book club, a walking group, a choir, a gardening society. Make a weekly date with a friend. Teaching a skill to a grandchild or a neighbor is another incredibly powerful way to engage. And a crucial red flag to be aware of: if you are experiencing persistent, overwhelming feelings of loneliness or depression, it is not a sign of weakness to seek help. Please talk to your doctor or a mental health professional. It's one of the most important things you can do for your overall well-being, including your brain. All right, let's just pause for a moment here and take a breath. We've covered a lot of ground already. Are any of these already part of your routine, or has one of them sparked an idea for something new you'd like to try? I hope this conversation is feeling empowering. If you're finding this guide valuable and you believe this is information that more people should hear, I would be so grateful if you took just 1 second to tap that like button below this video. It's a small click for you, but it makes a huge difference in helping YouTube show this video to other people just like you, who are looking for credible, supportive health guidance. Thank you so much for that. Now let's move on to an activity we spend about a third of our lives doing, yet so many of us struggle with it. Our fourth ritual is mastering the art of restorative sleep. It's so easy to dismiss sleep as a passive state, a simple off switch for the body. But nothing could be further from the truth. Many of us have been in that frustrating situation, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, our minds racing with worries as we watch the numbers on the alarm clock tick by. That feeling of exhaustion the next day, the brain fog, the irritability, it's a testament to just how vital good sleep is. But the consequences of chronic sleep deprivation go far deeper than just feeling tired. Here's why it's so critical. While you are in your deepest stages of sleep, your brain activates a remarkable process. Scientists call it the glymphatic system. You can think of it as your brain's dedicated nighttime cleaning crew. As you sleep, channels in your brain actually widen, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flow through more rapidly and wash away metabolic waste products that accumulate during your waking hours. One of the most important of these waste products is a protein called beta amyloid. This is the very same protein that clumps together to form the infamous plaques found in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. So every night that you get a full, restorative night's sleep, you are literally running a deep cleaning cycle that helps clear out these potentially toxic proteins. This is why the National Institute on Aging and other health bodies consistently recommend that adults aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night. I had a client, a retired school principal named David, who prided himself on surviving on 5 hours of sleep a night. He saw it as a sign of toughness. But he was struggling with his memory, his mood was short, and his blood pressure was high. He insisted he just couldn't sleep more. We didn't focus on the number of hours at first. Instead, we focused on creating a non-negotiable wind-down ritual. An hour before his intended bedtime, all screens, the TV, the computer, the phone, went off. He would then spend 20 minutes reading a physical book, and then 10 minutes listening to some calm, instrumental music. It took a couple of weeks, but his body and brain started to get the signal. He began falling asleep more easily and staying asleep longer. The change in his daytime function was dramatic. His action step for you is to architect your own wind-down ritual. Make your bedroom a sanctuary for sleep. Keep it dark, quiet, and cool. Go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every day, even on weekends, to regulate your body's internal clock. And if you have persistent issues like chronic insomnia or very loud snoring, which could be a sign of sleep apnea, please don't just live with it. These are medical conditions that have effective treatments, and it's crucial to discuss them with your doctor. We've now covered how we move our bodies, challenge our minds, connect with others, and restore ourselves at night. This brings us to our fifth and final ritual, a practice that acts as the master regulator for all the others. We need to practice active stress management. It's one of the most common and perhaps emptiest pieces of advice to tell someone to just relax or don't stress. Life, especially as we get older, can be filled with legitimate stressors. Worries about our health, our family, our finances, or the state of the world. Acknowledging that stress is a real and normal part of life is the first step. Here's what chronic, unmanaged stress does to the brain. When you're constantly in a state of high alert, your body is flooded with stress hormones, most notably cortisol. It can damage and shrink the hippocampus. Think of it like constantly revving your car's engine in traffic. It doesn't get you anywhere, and it causes immense wear and tear on the engine. I remember a patient, a very successful businesswoman who had sold her company and was now retired. She was used to a high-pressure life, and in retirement, she found herself anxious and agitated, constantly worrying about small things. He described her mind as a noisy, chaotic room. She was deeply skeptical of anything that sounded new agey, but she was desperate. I suggested she try a simple 5-minute guided breathing exercise every morning using a free app on her phone. No chanting, no complex philosophy, just focusing on her breath, in and out. She came back a month later and told me it was the single most impactful change she had made. She said, "It doesn't make the worries go away, but it turns the volume down. It's like it tidies up that noisy room in my head so I can actually think clearly." She was actively lowering her cortisol levels and giving her hippocampus a chance to breathe and function properly. The action step for you is to find a small, daily practice that helps you do the same. This could be 5 to 10 minutes of mindfulness meditation, spending time in nature. For others, journaling. If stress feels completely overwhelming and is leading to persistent anxiety or depression, this is a clear red flag. So there we have it. 5 daily rituals that, when practiced consistently, go far beyond just diet to create a powerful, holistic strategy for strengthening your mind. This isn't about adding more overwhelming tasks to your to-do list. It's about making small, intentional shifts in your daily rhythm that pay enormous dividends for your cognitive health. Let's just quickly recap the incredible work you've done today by learning about these rituals. We've established a win for your physical brain, a win for your brain's flexibility, a win for your emotional well-being, a win for your nightly restoration, and finally, a crucial win for your mental clarity. The core message I want you to take away from our time together, it's not about achieving perfection. It's about consistency. It's about the small, wise choices you make, the 10-minute walk, the 5-minute conversation, the new recipe you try, the decision to turn off the television and simply breathe. These are the actions that build a stronger, sharper, more resilient mind for all the years to come. Now, I would love to hear from you. We've covered 5 distinct rituals today. Which of these resonated with you the most? Please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. Reading through the experiences and insights of this community is one of my greatest joys, and your comment might just be the inspiration someone else needs to get started. If this conversation has been helpful and you'd like more in-depth, science-backed guidance for healthy and empowered aging, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and also ring that little notification bell. That way, you won't miss out on our next video. Thank you so much for investing this time in yourself today. It's the most important investment you can make. Be well, stay empowered, and I'll see you in the next video.